Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area here on the Black Men Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett with my partner, as always,
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panayotis. Yasu, my brother, what is going on?
What's going on, my man? I got a bone to pick with somebody tonight.
Okay, a bone. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So I got a story to say. I went downstairs yesterday and I caught my puppy smoking. Yes, you heard right, smoking. So I found out Greg shipped him a pack of cigarettes overseas, and he had them. Look what he had in his mouth. A pack of goddamn cigarettes.
Craig sent that?
And they're not like cigarettes. They don't look like cigars. Look at this goddamn sucker. So
Hey, well, look, he's he's in a Greek household, so he was gonna pick up the habit one way or the other. So
first of all, you're echoing really bad for some reason.
okay,
So yesterday I went downstairs and I got this in the mail yesterday from Amazon. So I opened up my cable with him. He had fun. I'm like, I'm gonna fuck with my mom. So I went downstairs. I go, Ma, like what? The hell did you give Apollo? Like when he's smoking a cigarette. Like, how the hell did you get cigarettes? He goes, how did he smoke it? She's freaking out. I go, I gave her this. He goes, oh, I don't know how you got. Wait a minute. He goes, you're an asshole. He goes to me.
crazy. Is that better now? Is the echo gone?
Yeah, still there, dude.
Oh, is the echo still there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to work on that during the show. But again, while I work on the echo, if you guys are hearing the echo, let me know that. Also, drop a one in the chat or something. Just let me know if you guys are hearing that as well. But, certainly, again, welcome to the show tonight. Appreciate you guys being here. Just, again, make sure you hit the like button on the way into the show. And also, certainly, as the show goes on, you can certainly we appreciate if you drop a Cash App or a Super Chat to the Black Men Unfiltered Network. You see the Cash App scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Again, Cash Apps, we keep more of the money. So certainly we greatly appreciate it when you support us through Cash Apps. But anything you want to give to us personally, you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, our individual Cash Apps. And so, so anything you want to give to the channel, we appreciate it. But also consider becoming a subscriber to the Black Men Unfiltered Network as well as the Sparta HQ Network. We have, certainly, content that is good for everybody, different shows, a variety of different topics and whatnot. So you'll find a little bit of everything, certainly in these spaces. But again, shout out to our guy Anton, who's certainly become a major, certainly contributed certainly to the Sparta HQ Network, and certainly love having him on a sports show to talk about hockey. We had a great time talking about the U.S. Men and women's Olympic hockey team bringing home gold. And certainly he has a lot of knowledge and insights on the game of hockey. And it was certainly good to have him on. Looking forward to having him in more conversations going forward, and just watch out for him. Watch for the content that he's going to be dropping in the near future. And, we'll keep those details to ourselves. But, certainly he's gearing up to have a presence, certainly in these YouTube streets. So we appreciate him for the support that he always gives us, and particularly to this channel. So yeah, man, I almost lost it. When Black Man dropped the thumbnail for this show, I lost it. I was cracking up. My wife comes in and she says, "Are you okay?" And so I showed her the thumbnail for the show. So shout out to BMU for his creativity. Shout out to the Gen X and Baby Boom references. We appreciate the what he does for us as far as putting in the thumbnails, the creative work that he does into the thumbnails. I think it really helps to drive traffic to the show. And so again, we appreciate his creativity and always bringing good content certainly to us. So shout out to you for everything that you do for the channel. But yeah, man. So we have basically for this past month. We've been sort of talking about this idea of romance, kind of taking the rose-colored glasses off of a lot of the romantic industry, certainly in this country and certainly around the world. And certainly we talked Valentine's Day. We had a show talking about, again, the history of Valentine's Day, how that came together, and just the exorbitant prices that people will pay for Valentine's Day, the cost of roses, how they almost triple in price for Valentine's Day, and a lot of people are just opting out of it. Now, again, I'm not saying not to do it. I mean, I go out with my wife on Valentine's Day. We just don't go crazy with it. And we don't buy unnecessary things that we don't need. But again, there's a multi-billion industry almost hit $30 billion in terms of costs spent on, in and around Valentine's Day. And I think there's just better ways to go about it. And certainly you can really rack up when you take advantage of the sales, the after Valentine's Day sales on, all kinds of things. And certainly you can take advantage of that. Then last week we talked about the whole idea of wedding rings and engagement rings. How that is, how that all came into being, started with the Egyptians, then it went to the Romans and to the Greeks, and then it went to the Romans. In terms of that history of wedding and engagement rings and just the cost of rings, we found out last week that was a De Beers campaign. It started back in the 30s, and then they really had really picked up steam in the 80s, where they were promoting this idea that you needed to spend 2.5 times your monthly salary on an engagement ring. And so, these are, schemes that are out there, but there's no proof or validation behind them. But it was a good way to get a lot of people to spend excess money. And Peter, unfortunately, shared his own personal story of what he spent. I don't want to, bring pick scab at old wounds, but he talked about the expense that he had and what he spent for an engagement ring for, unfortunately, a relationship that didn't, go the distance. And so, yes, you have a lot of people out there that, will spend those costs, and then, things don't work out. But the one thing I would encourage people to do, if you go back and watch last week's show, because there is a portion of the show, you can even look at this up yourself, that there's most state laws require that if a marriage doesn't go through, that the engagement ring must go back to the person who gave it, no questions asked. That's by law in most states. Now, some states, it's where if the engagement ring is given, that if you break off, if she breaks off the engagement, or whoever got the engagement ring, if they break off the engagement, they have to give the ring back. But if you break it off, or you do something to end the relationship, then they don't have to give it back. And then there's still a couple states, like 3 or 4 states, where the law is ambiguous, and that can get real dicey in terms of, especially if you did drop a lot of money on that ring, getting it back. But again, just going from where wedding rings used to be family heirlooms and, really had a lot of personal significance, to people just wanting the biggest bling and the biggest ring as a token of your love and affection. So we kind of took some of the scabs off of that and kind of blew that up a bit. But today we're going to kind of finish this series, sort of the trifecta. So again, we talked about Valentine's Day, we talked about wedding and engagement rings, and then, but tonight we're going to talk about weddings, specifically wedding costs, not marriage. But again, we're talking about weddings and wedding costs. But I just want to give shout out to Marianne and Constantine in the chat tonight. Appreciate you being here. And our guy, as always, appreciate Lost in Translation. Appreciate you being here as always. Thanks for following us tonight. But we're going to get into this idea of wedding costs. And it's interesting for me because I've been saying this for the last couple years now, and without even looking anything up, right? This is clearly, for me, this was just through empirical evidence, just my personal observation. So again, this represents the last month of marriage season 29. On the 29th of this month, we'll end marriage season 29, and I will go into marriage season 30. And so, my wife and I, we've had an opportunity to be around a lot of couples, couples who've been married longer than us, a lot of couples that have been married shorter than us. And just looking at the sample size that I've been able to see personally, I've always thought that the longest marriages that I know of were the cheapest, that people didn't go spending a ton of money. And these are the marriages that, let me just put this guy out. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. These are the marriages that, again, kind of endured time. These are the marriages that are 40, 50, 60, up to 70 years. And so it's just my own observation that, we have some really good friends of mine. They just celebrated their 40th last year. And it's always been a thing with me that, again, not having to spend a ton of money at a wedding. And I remember just sharing, I think we talked about this before, when I went to this past year, I went to renew my dog license. And I saw there were 2 weddings that were going on. One, it was this one Latino couple and there was another couple that was, I think they might have been like, Indian, Guyanese, or even Trinidadian or something like that, but it was definitely of Indian origin. The weddings were $150. You went there, they paid at the receptionist window, signed the marriage license. Here's your, pay $150, and then you had an officiant from the township, a local, a locally elected official, officiated the ceremony in the conference room where they typically have their meetings and whatnot, and it was done. The Latino couple, they had one witness. It looked like she might have been like the auntie or something like that, who was the witness for the ceremony. And the Indian couple, they had a few more people. It was about 7-8 people there. That and to me, it was just as cool. It was just as beautiful. I mean, the women, they're there in their gowns and stuff, and I thought it was still cool. Just watching that. So I never thought that the cost of your wedding was an indicator of the quality or the length of your marriage. And in fact, we're going to talk about tonight, it might work inversely, that the more you spend for a wedding might be an indication that the wedding may not last as long. But what are you just on those just initial thoughts? What are your thoughts on that, Pete?
I think you spend too much money is a waste of money, because the wedding is supposed to be for both of you, but really is not. We all know that, but now it's more for the woman at this point. But it's also for everybody else, because they're gonna eat the food, they're gonna drink the booze, they're gonna eat the cake, and they're gonna dance. You're too busy thanking everybody else to enjoy the celebration part.
Right.
So they're drinking my booze, and I'm not even gonna have a drink. Hell, where's my drink?
So that's right. I remember my wedding. I remember barely eating it. The only food I really got at the wedding was there was like a reception. Like when we get to the catering hall, there's like a little reception in the back for the wedding party, and we're kind of eating some stuff ahead of time. But to be honest, I was so kind of into the day, like food was like the last thing on my mind. And even when the main courses and everything came out, there was the ceremony, there was the toast, there was the cake, there was just all these other things that were involved in the event. Plus, we were doing all the photographs, so we were going out. So we missed most of it because we're outside taking wedding photos, so everyone else is having a good time. Like I watched we got a copy of the wedding video later, and we saw it's like, yeah, everybody was dancing on the dance floor. We made sure we had a good DJ and music group, and everybody was having a good time, but we didn't. And so it was like at the end of the day, we were pretty exhausted from the just from the entire day. So the wedding, I can't even say that the wedding was even for my wife, because she was kind of done sort of at the end of the day as well. So it was so yeah, I agree with you that the wedding seems to be more so for those who come, more so than the people who are getting married.
It's like throwing a party if you think about it. And like when you're throwing a party, you're really not throwing for yourself. You're throwing for your friends who enjoy the time. Throw the time, have a good time,
right.
Have fun. But the host doesn't enjoy it because you're running around cooking, getting ice, getting people drinks, doing this, doing that. So you never have time to actually sit back and have a meal yourself there. You're just too busy.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because this past year we did have a party for my daughter going to medical school, as well as my youngest daughter's graduation from college. So we did have a big sort of house party here, but this was the first year where I actually hired a caterer. I never did that before. I was on the grill. I did all the grilling. My wife, she was inside, baking and making all the dishes inside and whatnot. So you're right. Like we were running around like all the time, and we never could enjoy it. But this year, we just put it in our minds, you know what? At this point, I just want to enjoy the day where I don't have to do a whole heck of a lot. So again, hiring the caterer was like the best decision. And I was able to enjoy people. I was in so many different conversations. I was able to really be involved in the day and really take it all in. So certainly, that was a great decision. I think my wife and I had made. And so that may be the way forward. If should we throw another party, definitely have someone else do it. But you taking all that stress on of making sure everyone else has, and you're just, I'm on the grill, I'm smoky. I don't even like sitting around people because I'm smelling like grill from all of that. So it's like you're not even you don't want to get that close to people. So yeah, but it's like, but you can enjoy it. Like I want to be able to celebrate, especially with those the people who we invite. Obviously, are people who are close to us, and so again, we want to be able to certainly enjoy them in a more proper way. But a lot of times I'm like catching up. I didn't even know the guy was there. It's like, oh man, sorry we didn't get a chance to chat or whatever, but I understand you got to go and that sort of thing. So I certainly agree that the headache of trying to run something like that, certainly there is a space where if you can take some of that burden off you, and of course that gets into some costs. But again, and I'm not saying not all costs are good. I mean, there's good costs and there's not so good costs. And I think is you have to be able to manage those properly. But any other thoughts before we go on? I just want to shout out to our guy Anton once again. The longest marriage that I know of is my parents. This week will mark 56 years. Well, congratulations to them and happy anniversary to Anton's parents. And, certainly them being the model and showing the way. So salute to you, sir, and them, certainly for 56 years of marital bliss. Really appreciate you sharing that, sir.
So I'm going to break it down as the first thing I think is a lot of waste of money. And most women probably would disagree with me, and that's fine, is the wedding dress. The wedding dress that are overpriced and way too expensive, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Because you wear it for what, 8 hours the most, right?
Yeah, and you're never gonna wear it again.
That's my point. Like you're paying so much for that wedding dress for the one time. Yes, you look beautiful, sweetheart. You look great in it, but it doesn't do anything after that. You know what I'm saying? She looks great, but what can you get something a little cheaper? Like what most wedding dress would go for, like a couple grand? I'm not mistaken, right?
These days, yeah, because I'd asked my wife prior to coming on today, just to kind of get a ballpark of what was spent, because her mom really is the one who really shelled out for the wedding. In fact, she doesn't even know how much her mom put out for her and her older sister's wedding, because she then asked her too, and she didn't know how much. But the mom definitely went into some resources in order to, she had a certain type of wedding that she wanted for her daughters, and she was going to be in Cincinnati. So I remember my wife, she paid $1,000. This is back in 1997. $1,000 for the dress. Now the mom wanted additional highlights on it. So my wife picked the dress. She liked the dress as it was, but then the mom wanted some lace and she wanted a longer train and all these kind of things. So at the end of the day, it might have wound up being $2,000. And again, that was back in 97. So again, if you, in today's money, certainly you can almost be double that. So yeah. I mean,
I'm actually on a website right now looking at just curiosity of what they go for. The cheapest one I've seen so far, it's about, and that's not even a wedding dress, one I mean, skirt, in my opinion, it's about $1,600. Mm-hmm. And the price keeps going down and down, and as I'm going down, I mean, it goes up and up. Like so far, the highest I've seen it is about $4,000. Think about it. Yeah, $4,000 for a dress you're going to wear. I'm sorry, $6,000 is the cheapest one, the most expensive one right now I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. And it's something you're going to wear for a few hours, and it doesn't seem like look they're that comfortable either. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got to tuck. It was. You got to tuck stuff in. It's interesting. You had I've also shared that my daughter last year, she was in a wedding, and just kind of going through that whole process of it. So again, the idea was that the bride, she was on this quest that she was going to lose all this weight, and she was going to get like on the GL1 supplement and went on and take the shot or the injections or whatever, and lose 30 pounds to get into this dress. Well, that didn't happen, okay? And I knew it wouldn't happen because she's not the type of person who's very disciplined when it comes to almost anything. And so, I knew it wouldn't work. So, again, there were after several fittings and refittings, and in fact, she might even gain a couple pounds. But to make sure that the dress fits properly, so going back to the seamstress and getting several refittings and whatnot, Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a it's definitely not a it's not an investment. I agree certainly with Andre Green, yeah, to rent a dress, but for some women that's like absolutely not. But again, but that's the whole point. I mean, we're talking about priorities, and we're talking about where money can be more wisely spent, and the decisions that you're making. And again, people, I get it with ladies. This could be certainly a very emotional time and decision. But again, do you want to play the short game or do you want to play the long game? And having all these costs associated with a one-time event, like for us, like I mean, every once in a while, like we used to look at our wedding video like every year. You know what I mean? Especially like the first year, every time we had company over, people were like, "Yeah, I want to see the wedding video again." I mean, it was a pretty nice. I mean, the company that the videographer who did it, they really did a great job with it, and so people would come over, and that's what they were like, "Hey, where's your wedding video? Can we see it?" And the first couple of years, we would just, that would be like the source of the conversation. We put the wedding videotape in, and we would play it for people. But honestly, we haven't looked at our wedding video probably since the 25th, because I mean, obviously the 25th was a big, obviously kind of a highlight or a milestone year. So we took it out. I also digitized it. I uploaded some shorts to YouTube and whatnot, and on my Facebook page. But it's not like I'm even looking at my wedding video like that often anymore. So again, how many times are you gonna be able to go back and look at that? Now we do have one large, huge portrait of ourselves, our wedding photo that's over our fireplace of us from our wedding. We do have that. But outside, but but the photo albums that got these big photo album books, we don't do those. It's not like we're spending a whole time, just going and looking through the shots. I'm just like, yeah, we were there. We know who was there, so we don't even wind up doing that anymore. But certainly the cost can be tremendous. But getting a woman to rent a wedding dress, she's got to be a special type of woman. I'll just say that for sure. Shout out to the actual King Smith. Follow King and his lovely girlfriend. Do you guys call each other girlfriend, boyfriend? I don't know what you guys call each other. Just to help me out with the language here. But him and Michelle, they have a show, The King and Me, the King and M.E. Certainly on YouTube, Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go check them out, as they have a very transparent and open relationship. They talk about certainly their relationship a lot, and so again, an entertaining show. I'm usually watching the show as I'm walking my dog at night when the show is on. But definitely a good show worth watching. So if you want to, King, drop your link in the chat. Appreciate it. Now King comes back and said, "That's my lady." My lady and my man. So, yeah, boy, yeah, you guys might be, I don't know. Is there a time where you're too old for boyfriend and girlfriend? I don't know. when you stop calling each other.
People they're older and they start calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend.
I don't know. Is there? But he's saying that's my lady. So again, shout out to the lady and the man, King Smith. And he says, "Paul, we got a question and we want your opinion." I told her I'll DM you. Sure, actually, drop it anytime. You got it. But again, his link is in the chat. So again, check out The King and Me on Monday nights, and you can. I think they have a very good amount of content. Now, Andre Green says again, don't forget their renew vows. Yeah, I mean that's not something my wife and I have no intention of doing. We've known people who've done it. The 25th and renewing all that. I'm like, look, I said yes once, or I said I do once, and if nothing's changed in almost 30 years. So yeah, so we don't. I'm not a big believer in the renew thing, unless maybe I've gone through something, or you guys had a tumultuous time, and you guys get some things. You guys want to just do a reset, and you think that might be worth doing. But I'm not a big. What's your view of that, Pete? Do people in the Greek community do they kind of renew their vows after some time? It's like one and done, right?
Yeah, I've never heard it. It's simple, I do, I don't, and get out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's another probably a tradition that I don't agree with either. Because why spend all that money again? Now, I do understand if you were divorced and you got back together and you're gonna remarry, that's a little different story.
Mm-hmm.
But why did it seem like they're so so outrated, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'll put it like a dress like we're talking about. A woman's dress is about 2,000-3,000. All right, and in average,
Yeah.
you have some people who spend 6,000.
Yeah.
Now let's look at a tux for men. Men average tux is about 500.
Yeah.
Even in tux, I would rent.
But see, and that's the thing. Now, most guys, again, Andre Green, he's talking about renting the wedding dress. I mean, guys certainly rent a tuxedo. Like, I didn't buy a tuxedo for it. I mean, and that's it. Again, guys, we have no problem in renting a tuxedo for a wedding. That's totally fine with us. But for a woman, again, I mean, my wife's wedding dress is still in her closet. You know, it'll, like I said, it'll never be worn again. But it's the same thing with young people. Like, you know, you get the Sweet 16 dress. You're not wearing that again. You're not in to even sell it to someone else. That's not likely either. So again, I mean, but I think men and women in general, they have you know, just different priorities. Certainly when it comes to you know, how they look at, you know, expenses, especially around things like weddings and that sort of thing. So Andre, you have the question, how about wedding anniversary? I don't know the context of that. You know, so again, if you can give me some context on what do you mean by that in terms of what? In terms of renewing or in terms of looking at wedding video, or, you know, what's the context around that? If you could just drop that in the chat so I can better address your comment. Now, Anton says now his parents renewed their vows on their 25th anniversary. Again, I know people have done it as well. I said I'm not for or against. I'm kind of, you know, agnostic about it. But for us, you know, especially when we hear people who've done it, I look at my wife and say, "Hey, you want to do this?" Like, no, like, we're good. Like, we don't have to. You know, we just kind of live in the just kind of live in the moment. And so no, that's never been, like I said, a big deal. Or like I said, for the 25th, the fact that I dropped the video. Because like I said, it was on VHS, and I moved it to DVD, and then I moved it from DVD to digital, and then I was able to upload it. And she didn't know I was doing it. So I guess the more thoughtful acts of putting things in, yeah. So again, as far as to celebrate milestones, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm not even opposed to the celebration of milestones. Absolutely, 25th, 30th, 50th. I mean, all those, you know, the golden, the silver, the platinum, you know, all those milestones. Again, I have no issue with that, and those celebration of those things. Or even if you want to renew your vows on those milestone dates, again, I have no problem with it. It's just not something that I would necessarily do, because again, we just don't feel a need to do that. You know, like I said, and I know my I think my oldest sister with her husband, I think they did a renewal, but again, they had a kind of very tumultuous kind of situation for a lot of years. When I was growing up, I was kind of saw some of that, and I think they certainly came to a point where they were kind of able to get some things straight, got their faith right, and got things together. And I think they kind of wanted to kind of re-pledge themselves. And from that point on, it was like you didn't see a lot of the drama and whatnot that you saw like early in the relationship. So I think under those circumstances, I can understand a couple want to say, hey, you know, we've kind of gone through a lot of crap, and now we're done with it. Now we've grown up, and now we want to do something. Now we want to do something to really, you know, kind of solidify this. So again, doing a renewal at that point, that makes sense to me. But I don't think my wife and I were ever at a point where we were at that level where we had to do a reset on some things. But again, shout out to those who do it. From Anton, some wedding dresses are family heirlooms. The daughter will wear it's just like what we talked about last week. The rings, either the wedding ring or the engagement ring, those were heirlooms as well. But again, nobody today wants to do that. They want their own thing. They want the special. They want it custom made. They want it tailored to themselves. So it's, again, I agree with. I mean, that would be a great way to save money and put that money towards other things. But again, you know, the consumerism of people today, especially, and I would even say women today, doesn't make that likely. And it's in any culture. It's not just Americans. Whatnot. I see this in every culture. Like, I can't see even in an Asian Indian wedding, which are some of the most traditional sets of weddings that I see, that you would actually wear a dress that was worn by somebody else, that they would want their own thing. So that have all the family, great grandkids there. Absolutely, absolutely. Anton again says, I didn't rent a tux. You wore a suit. People do that as well. I see a lot of suits on second marriages, and again, certainly when it just comes to second or third marriages in general, again, I think people kind of grow up a little bit, and so you kind of had the sizzle of the big wedding, and it didn't necessarily work out. And so you have a lot of people that have, they dress it down quite a bit and they have something a lot more simple. Shout out to our guy Hank in the basement. I know he's been married a couple years now, and I saw some of his wedding photos. His bride just wore a nice blue dress, and he was just in a suit. So it wasn't the big tuxedo or wedding dress or anything like that. I think you get to a point where the marriage becomes more important than the ceremony. And if you've been through that, then it's not a big deal for them to do that. It says no one in the African country would give their bride money until she laughs. That might be a reality. But yeah. But any more thoughts on that before we go into? I want to go into some slides and show some things that certainly again validated what I was thinking. But I didn't have any kind of background about it. It was like I said, it was just the people that I observed. And when they talked about their stories, when they talked about getting married and they saw the, with the first year of marriage, was like where they lived, the apartments that they lived in, getting their furniture off the street and things of that nature. It just put into my mind that, maybe it wasn't about having the big ceremony that was the key. It was things that was deeper. Shout out to our guy, The Man Williams. Certainly a very frequent guest within the Black Man Unfiltered space. The wedding dress should cost less than $500. Salute to you, sir. Certainly I would approve of that. I approve that message. Yeah, absolutely. And then some guys in military, yes, military dress uniforms. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that too. A lot of military.
For example, when he got married, he was in his military uniform, his dresses. Because he just got out of the military.
Yeah.
When he married his wife, Mrs. Q. So he was wearing his dress uniforms. And he had
right now, is that you said he just got now? Anton, help me out with that. Is that the norm? Like, like I can certainly see if you're like active and you put you get married in your uniform. Your full military uniform, but if you're out of the service, can guys still choose that? I know you said CQ did that, but I'm just wondering, is that the norm? Typically, if you're out of the service, would you get married in your military uniform if you're no longer active? So I'd want to see what that breakdown is like, but that's an interesting.
Yeah, I know he had a whole military wedding, so.
No, you didn't. Hang on. No, you did. You got married in your flight suit.
And he was never a pilot either. That's the funny part.
You are a G's. You had the helmet. You had the helmet on too.
The funny part.
Wow.
The funniest part. You think he's cheap? He's definitely cheap.
Glad I didn't. You even said yourself, sir. Well, I don't know if he called himself cheap. He may call himself frugal or thrifty. But yeah. He's definitely not one to spend money by his own admission. And Audrey Green, just don't do like most Hollywood marriages, more just a business to them. Yeah, that's a different stratosphere. And what's also
topic right there, because if you think about it, a lot of Instagram couples you see, a lot of Facebook couples, even YouTube couples, that's all a version of a Hollywood they want.
Yeah,
they don't live the lifestyle. They just rent the car for a day, and oh my god, they have a Lamborghini and a dress and everything. Everybody, they're just living in a most cheap.
Well, it's interesting. I remember the biggest wedding I ever saw. Now, again, for Gen X, you guys maybe remember this back in the day. The biggest wedding I saw is when back then when Lady Di and Prince, well, now he's king now, of England, got married. This was back in 1980. Right, so I was like 10, 11 years old, and this was national coverage. It was aired live on all the networks, Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7. All the networks were covering this. It was one of the most televised events in the world, was that wedding. and it sort of captivated. So it was like the perfect, bless you, it was like the perfect kind of, again, fairy tale type.
And Charles, you mean, right?
Charles, yeah. I mean, that was, like I said, that was televised on TV. I mean, it was like, everybody, all the daytime television stopped. I guess it was in the summer, because I know I was home watching it live, so I'm assuming it was in the summer. And yeah, but it was like worldwide. I mean, probably hundreds of millions of people watched the event. So again, they gave you that picture. I mean, you already had the movies, you already had Cinderella, you already had the whole Hollywood type of vibe with it, but you're seeing like a real wedding of royals. And I think that set in the minds of a lot of people, certainly a lot of ladies at the time, that this is, when you talk about fairy tale wedding, and you're able to see a wedding in real time. And even when the son got married a few years ago, Philip? Don't follow too much over there. But when the son got married, and they covered his wedding, and even his brother got married, they covered those. Again, those were like streamed live on TV. I don't think it was as big as the Charles and Lady Di wedding, but certainly it was something that, like, look, I thought we were in America. I thought we got away from the British, right? But it was still a thing. Like anything that happens with the royals in UK still gets a lot of coverage here. They're celebrities, and so that whole fantasy of what a wedding was is certainly something that I think that was ingrained in the minds of
really
a lot of young girls at the time who saw that live.
Yeah, the oldest son has first dibs on the crown is William, and his second Harry.
Yeah.
And their weddings were pretty up there too. And like you see the dress coming out of the car, and it had the long tail. Like,
yeah.
It's like an Unenjoying Bunny. It keeps it going and going and going. I'm like, man, how long is the goddamn dress here, dude?
Yeah.
Like I feel bad for people who carry the damn thing in the end.
Right. And I was just I was still blown away. Like I said, the coverage. I was just blown away by that. But the fact that this is the United States of America, who actually fought a war to get away from the British, but yet you shut down the entire world. And it's not like even England, it's not like the royals are even in power like that anymore. Yes, they have some political influence. Yes, they're kind of ambassadors for the country, but it's parliamentary system. So it's like we're looking at people who don't even have weight like that back in the day when it was the British Empire like that. So it was just amazing to me how our fascination was with this family and covering these people. Shout out to again the Wife School Podcast. Shout out to you being in the chat tonight. Appreciate you being with us tonight. Hopefully you stick around certainly for the show, and hopefully we keep it interesting for you. Yes, we won't get into Prince Andrew and his situation. That's a totally different show, a totally different vibe. We're not going there. But certainly, but Anton said, certainly the William and Kate marriage, Harry and Meghan marriage, that was big for a lot of other reasons. The fact that she's biracial, that had a lot of controversy to it and whatnot. But again, we tend to follow these things. But again, the idea of the big wedding, if you watch any kind of romantic comedy or movie or something like that, where the big wedding is at the end, Pretty Woman, or in any of these movies where there's a wedding at the end, that's still something. Sex in the City, anytime there's a wedding, that's just going to get all the ladies interested. So I think there's something about that day that is certainly triggers a lot of the emotional response that's in women, and therefore it's going to drive the cost of a lot of this. Now let's get into what my empirical view was seeing, and what some of the study and evidence is actually showing. So let me just share my screen, and we'll get into this a little bit here. And again, this was a surprise to me, but let's get into this a little bit. So there was a study. So again, CNN first broke this story back in 2014. Okay, so you had a research study at Emory University, where you had two economics professors at Emory that had this study of over 3,000 couples, 3,151 adults. And what their findings from this came to, specifically, the study found that women whose wedding cost more than $20,000. Divorce at a rate roughly 1.6 times higher than those women whose weddings cost between $5,000 and $10,000. And couples who spent $1,000 or less on their big day had a lower than average divorce rate. All right. So again, this was like the main article that talked about that. Now, what the article also cited was, and again, this might, certainly mess with the cost a little bit, because what they also saw was that the more people who come to your wedding oftentimes has an impact on them staying together, because now you have a communal aspect of it. And that was the thing. Certainly marriages weren't just about individuals. The farther you go back in time, marriages were never about the couple. Marriages were about uniting communities, uniting families, uniting kingdoms a lot of times. And so you were kind of like the collateral in the deal. But the wedding and the marriage and the children and the offspring that came from that was all about the preservation of the tribe or the kingdom or the community. So again, a lot of times they also cite in the article that, again, the more friends that you have there, or the more people you invite, it's less likely that you will divorce. Because again, that'd be kind of embarrassing. You invite all these people, then you divorce later on. So sometimes the societal pressure, but I don't see that, honestly. I don't even see that much anymore, as far as society or the community that you're in having a lot of impact in terms of how you staying married or not. But certainly this research has been followed up on and cited by several entities. You have this one, this group, the Schoenberg Family Law Group, also cites the Emory study, and they also gleaned some additional information from the study. So again, among men surveyed, those who spent between $2,000 and $4,000 on an engagement ring were 1.3 times more likely to divorce than those who only spent $500 to $2,000. So again, we talked about engagement rings last week. Go back and watch the show. That again, we had this De Beers campaign that said that you had to spend 2.5 times, or at least 2 times, your month's salary on an engagement ring. And then the whole marketing of it was, isn't she worth 2 months of your salary? And so, and what we're seeing here is that when those who spend, you're more likely to divorce the more expensive the ring is. But again, women have these expectations. I shared that story last week about that lady who the guy proposed, and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Can't you do better than that?" And then she got tired of that ring, and she intentionally lost the second ring to get a third ring. They're not together anymore either. So, certainly good for the guy. But another thing they cite here says,
the article says that people get married for kingdoms and like that. That is a ancient method to run politics. Let's be honest, and it's kind of obsolete at this point. I don't have heard of it in my lifetime. I don't know about you,
right?
But I think that's obsolete. Now, I do believe that overseas they still do. If you're with money, meaning you're for a big shot over there, they expect you to marry somebody who has a lot of money too, like they did back in the day, if you remember, like the Titanic era almost.
Mm-hmm.
You married in your own class, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I just see that a little bit overseas, towards Middle Eastern area.
Oh well, certainly Asian Indians today. Caste is big. Caste is very big in India. It's even big in some African states. I mean, we talked to David about that. That even within a lot of Nigerian cultures, there is sort of a caste system. There's certain families that you're kind of allowed to kind of marry into if you want to be in the good graces of everybody that's there. So caste is still big in the process, and that additional layer of selection could also be an indicator of why those marriages, even though because those money they'll put out for those weddings also. But maybe that might be another reason why they maybe last a little bit longer, whether they want to or not. Because, again, there's just so much societal pressure to keep the marriage together. But, again, we see divorce rates increasing even in India and other places where you have these caste systems. But it does give it an additional layer versus people who just, you meet and you just sort of fall in love with somebody. But again, for the men, the more expensive your engagement ring, the more likely that you'll divorce. Now, for women, again, weddings costing topping $20,000, with 3.5 times the risk of divorce compared to women who reportedly only spent $5,000 to $10,000. In the samples of the women, men, and all people, spending $1,000 or less on the wedding was significantly associated with a decrease in the hazard of divorce. And just another point, as far as elaborate wedding spending may cause financial burden. Again, certainly, for example, the sample of women who reported $2,000 and $4,000 spent on engagement ring were 2 to 3 times more likely to be stressed out about wedding-related debt than those who spent $500 to $2,000. The study also says that lavish weddings may set up unrealistic expectations. Yeah, you start out sometimes overspending, but the question is, can you keep that up? Can you keep up that lifestyle that you went into it with? I mean, if you're going to play the long game, what happens if there's an economic turmoil where you might be out of your job or your career or something like that? What if you can't sustain that kind of expectation or lifestyle? What happens there? And again, the last point here, an extravagant wedding may distract you from what's important. Scrambling to live up to societal pressures to have a fancy wedding may distract from building a healthy partnership and a strong foundation for the marriage, leading to a higher risk of divorce. All right. So again, all of this is from the study. Now, also Psychology Today, they also cite the same study, but then they also take in, again, a couple things that might not have been highlighted so far. So again, the more expensive wedding rings, again, may be linked to taking on more debt and in turn, more stress about how to pay it off. And then you got another one here, for example, those who spend less tends to see the act of marriage itself as the ultimate expression of love. So again, the idea of getting married, period, regardless of what it costs, tends to be a higher indicator of your chance of marital success than just how much you're looking to spend on a wedding. And also it could be that those who spend on weddings might be more impulsive to begin with. So again, now last week you shared, but that was a very impulsive act that you pulled off last time. So again, impulsivity might lead to more relationship disagreements and perhaps increase the odds of infidelity. So again, impulsive people who make rash decisions, jump into things too quickly, not assessing their current situation, could have certainly a toll on the outcome, certainly at the end of it, right? Just to give you a breakdown, some costs. So just a breakdown of marriages around the world, how much they typically cost. Singapore, again, very high up there, but I know a lot of people in Singapore, if you ever watch like Joy Luck Club or what have you, a lot of those people got a lot of money. But again, U.S., leader in the world, $30,000. I'm really surprised here. China, $27,000. Italy, $27,000. Japan. So all these places have very expensive. I was surprised. Egypt, only $2,500 for a wedding. And just some highlights that came out of this, the snippet here from the Financial Accountant. Just some of the highlights in the U.S. About 28% of U.S. couples go into debt for their big day, often at the expense of home ownership or investment goals. In India, families spend 20% of their lifetime earnings on a single wedding, with 500 plus guests being the norm and multi-day ceremonies. The $50 billion wedding industry contributes nearly 1.5% of India's GDP. And then in China, which I was surprised that Chinese weddings were so high, average cost of China has jumped to $27,000, a 10 times increase, so 1,000% increase over the past 20 years. So I guess as China has certainly grown to be this sort of economic superpower over the years, so too have the cost of weddings, to the point where they're being priced out for the average person. Just another breakdown here again. This guy's statistics coming in from Statista. Again, average cost of weddings. Again, United States 35,000. UK. Again, a lot of the developed nations. A lot of money that's being spent. Certainly on these weddings. And just to break down the cost, so the average cost of $35,000. So again, you're going to spend $18,000 on the venue, and I'm going to assume that you might have, let's say, if you have 100 guests, 50 to 100 guests. At these venues. So again, $1,800 on the venue, $3,500 for photography, $12,000 on food and beverage, and then for the entire $1,800. But again, that might be low. You can certainly transfer some of these numbers because, like you said, the wedding dress on average could be like $2,000. So certainly, but this is just kind of giving you an idea. This references from Wedding by Alibaba website. And I just got this little breakdown. You might understand these numbers, but I asked question, what's the average cost of a Greek wedding? And probably once you just add all the numbers up, and I guess you'd have to convert this into Greek dollars. But again, you're going to have a lot of similar costs when it comes to the cost of a wedding. But it's not cheap to get married in Greece.
The best
either.
way I can explain it, like the last wedding I went to Greece when I was in Greece, I remember there was averaging about, at the time, was in 1994, I believe it was.
Right.
It came out to be in American dollars around 20K.
Right.
So I'm talking about in 94. That's a lot of money. If you think
Yeah. So if you adjust for today's dollars, it could be probably double that at this point. So
first, like I said last time, if I remember, if I did actually, you go to the church, you get married. Like that's a non-negotiable part of
now, what is the church typically? Does the church charge if you're like a member of the church? Also, do they charge?
That is a good question. That I don't know because in Greece they don't have membership of churches.
Oh, really?
That's an American thing, a whole American thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So here, the average membership is between 300 to 600. It depends on the church.
Mm-hmm.
So then you go to whatever you have ceremony at, the feast, the dancing, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's where the real money drops into it because that place we went, it was high end. The last American wedding I went to was in early 2000, and they had to say they had the priest went outside, they did a little ceremony. We back inside, we had cocktail hour, all this stuff. I knew the guy personally at the time. I'm not speaking terms with him anymore. Ex-partner of mine. He spent about $40K in the early 2000s.
Wow.
So I'm
in the early 2000s. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm probably averaging now probably $40K, maybe $60K now to today's money?
Easy.
Yeah. Easy. And he said that's a tax write-off for him. I'm like, I don't know how. Yeah, it's pretty good accounting. I'd like to know the guy personally too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's some interesting practices there. Just want to have a highlight just to show that again, the cost of a wedding doesn't always mean the amount of success. Some people in the African American community recognize this here. So again, back in 2002, you had this prophetess, and I'm not going to go into the whole religious aspect or whatever, but you had this lady, Juanita Bynum, who was this prophetess, so to speak. She married this guy, Bishop Thomas Weeks, back in 2002, and the wedding was over $1 million, $1.2 million. Her wedding dress was over $65,000 for it. They divorced in 2007. So for those who think that, again, having an extravagant wedding and all those kind of things or whatever, that means that you're going to be successful again. And this is supposed to be, again, a woman of God and all this kind of stuff. And him as a pastor himself, totally missed the point when it came to what's important in marriage. So I just want to kind of highlight that as
one thing I also thinking as I was talking is, and it didn't cross my mind for a while too, is myself, like I've never been married or anything like that. When my time to tie the knot or tie my my nutsack, like I call it,
what?
Hey, you know me and my sayings, bro. Come on, are you surprised? Is going to be am I going to be able to afford it when that time comes? Because I obviously my mother is not in a condition to drop 20, 30, thousand in a wedding. I don't know if her parents are going to be able to. So I'm going to take them out of the equation. I'm going to rely on myself and her. Are we going to be able to afford that kind of wedding? Right now, I'll say no. The way the economy is, most people live paycheck to paycheck now these days, bro. And I'm
Yeah.
saying it's great. It's not the greatest feeling, but most people that's how they live. Are we
Yeah.
are gonna be able to afford that? I don't
Yeah.
think so.
And then it's interesting because again, people are obviously taking uh, um, longer to get married because you have to save up. Like, how much time does it take to save $20,000, $25,000, $30,000
Long time.
for a particular wedding? You know, it can certainly take a while to do that. Now, again, Wife School is saying that again, it's not about the wedding; it's about the people. That the cost of the wedding doesn't necessarily indicate that. Again, if you got money to spend, if you got money to burn, then yeah, it should matter. It should focus on the people. But if you're going to overspend, and again, you're going to be starting off your marriage on the wrong foot, then certainly that can lead to a lot of problems. I mean, we know that a lot of marriages break up over finances. And again, if you set those financial expectations early, that you're going to have the Cinderella experience, good luck with that. But like I said, I don't know anybody who spent, again, huge money like that. That doesn't necessarily guarantee it. But like I said, the ones that I know, a couple that they got married at the house, at her mother's house. They got married in the backyard, and they were making fried chicken and macaroni salad in the back, and the wedding cake was, the grandma baked the wedding cake, and all these kind of things. Again, the couple that just celebrated their 40th, same thing. They got married at a house. They didn't get married in a big extravagant. They didn't spend a lot of money on a big catering hall, and whatnot, and have all the drinks and things of that nature. So it's, so it's definitely it's like I said, it's an observation. But I think the study that has been cited multiple times is, the more you spend, a lot of times can have an impact on the outcome. Unrealistic expectations, too much focus on the day and not the lifetime, wrong financial responsibilities in terms of, again, putting the money into, again, getting a good home or at least an improved living situation. Well, like I said, your investments down the line, 529 for the kids. I mean, all kinds of things that can certainly help, just the long-term health of the marriage. And I know for me personally, like I said, the whole idea, what my mother-in-law spent on the wedding, again, even my wife doesn't even know. But that was never a concern to me. I could have went down to the courthouse and got married. I could definitely have signed that, write that check for $150. Here it is, just put a nice suit on, get a couple of my boys there as witnesses, and we could have did this thing nice and easy, no problem. Her mom wasn't having it, though. But again, I didn't let the stress of the event. The only thing I stressed about at the event was I didn't want alcohol there. That was like my main thing, because again, I had my father, he's a heavy drinker. And I just had this image in my head that he was going to get wasted, and he's just going to kind of, make a scene in the thing. So I kind of had a lot of anxiety about that particular situation, but it worked out the way it was supposed to. But but for a lot of people, it's you hear about the stories, and again, my daughter's recent experience, it was clear. Like, I honestly, now again, I pray, and I sincerely pray that this couple has a long, forever, till death do us part type of marriage situation. I really do. But everything leading up to the event, like I was asking my daughter, so is she really excited about getting married? I mean, do you really think she wants to marry this guy? And my daughter couldn't really read it. Like, she talked about the wedding and everything involved in it. They went on the bachelorette trip to Las Vegas, and they did all these things, but it was, you kind of, you want the moment. But is he the guy? And even my daughter couldn't necessarily get like a straight answer. So again, I don't know where this goes. The wedding itself, as I told you, was a multicultural type of wedding situation. The guy's multicultural. His mom is Russian and his dad is like Middle Eastern background or whatever. So again, very interesting family dynamic, and I talked about the wedding earlier and whatnot. So it was kind of like a wild kind of setup, the way it was. But yeah, I mean, it was a you know, like I said, I hope they do well. And certainly the parents, they definitely well overspent. Like, you know, I mean, her parents are fairly well off, and you know, so they definitely kicked in some money, certainly for this wedding. I think both sides did. But you know, will it last? I don't know. But again, I pray that it does. But it just seems like a lot of it seems like it just seems like there was just a lot of other things, like so much on the wedding, but I don't know about the individuals though. But that was just my observation being there.
Told you, I think last week, behind the scenes, I can't remember if it was a front on the camera or not. I don't want a big wedding. I don't want to spend all that money. If I can keep it under a couple grand, I'll do that. If I can, like, I don't have a lot of people I'm going to invite. I have a handful, maybe 2 handful tops I'm going to invite. Let's go to the church. Let's have the father say his little words, kiss each other, go to somewhere we're going to have dinner. And like, let's rent a diner or a restaurant or something. Then if you guys really want to drink that much, we can go to the bar afterwards.
Absolutely. Shout out to our the Queen, Lady Navoa, in the house. Good to see you. Who had a birthday last week, I believe. So again, happy belated birthday to Queen Navoa. Again, thank you for showing up tonight. So again, it's how bad you want it. You want the wedding or you want the marriage? Yeah. Now again, if you could have both, and I think that's oftentimes what we're sold. You can have it all. But a lot of times you can't have it. You have to make choices. Most people have to make choices. Most people have limited resources, and you have to make choices in terms of where you want to get into. You had our guy CQ last week talked about that. He got his wife a very inexpensive engagement ring, but 10 years into the marriage, he bought her a really nice ring. 10 years in. Again, sometimes you have to make those kind of deals, but it's to have sort of the fairy tale wedding is something that I think is, again, having people delay marriage. I mean, why people are getting married until 30, 35? You might be seeing this person. I've seen people engaged for 3, 4, and 5 years, 10 years. Now I'll ask them, how come you guys haven't gotten married yet? I'm kind of bold. I'm direct with that. How come you haven't gotten married yet? Well, we're still saving. And a lot of times they don't make it to the marriage. Like I said, for me, engagements are about the idea of getting married within a year. The longer you stretch it out, I think a lot of times you run into problems. Now, again, maybe it could be for the best. I'm not saying that it isn't. Would you rather get into a marital situation that you know is bad, or that things come up later, or maybe in that engagement period you can kind of walk away and nobody kind of gets gets hurt from that. But how long have you been with this person? Or from the time you first started dating them to the time you get engaged, how long was that? And then you're going to tack on like another 5 years on top of that, trying to save $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Because guess what? A lot of parents don't have that money anymore. So again, you got, especially today with these times, you got parents who are worried about their retirement, and they're worried about their 401ks, if there's going to be available for them by the time they retire. So the whole idea of going to your dad and be like, hey, we want this wedding, and the dad's got sure, he goes into his bag and has the money available, that's not necessarily available to most people either. So a lot of times if you want that big wedding, then you're going to have to, it's going to cost you out of your own pocket to have it. But that being said, could those resources be spent elsewhere? Like I said, we all would want the ideal. Have plenty of money, have the wedding, have the 401k, have the house, have all those things together. But again, how many people realistically? We know the stats. About 10% of people make over $100,000 a year in this country. And so what is the likelihood then that you're going to be able to have all those things at once? Or why not spend the money instead of on the big wedding? How about a nicer honeymoon? That's still going to be cheaper than spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on a wedding. But it's for one day. But again, is it going to be worth it at the end of the day? So again, I won't be as bold as BMU was. And again, you had me cracking up with the. I'm not going to call you a dummy for spending that kind of money on a wedding. Like I said, if you got it, you got it. But if you're going into deep debt and whatnot, I mean, why set your marriage off on the wrong foot? And you're working your way out of a situation. Why not use a little wisdom or whatnot and do things differently, such that you set yourself up, especially if you want to get to where I'm at, where like our pain is at, where Anton is at, where you have multiple years into this thing. Why not set yourself up for that kind of success? So those are things. These are questions to talk about. Now, certainly on the Gray Area Show, again, we will question some things, But again, a big diamond engagement ring doesn't mean that you're getting married, and a big wedding doesn't mean that you're going to be married for a long period of time.
Absolutely.
And so people have to look at that.
Like what happened to you? You lost your ring.
Yeah. 10 years now. And again, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to replace it. Even if I had the money to replace it, I don't know if I would, because it wouldn't be that ring. So again, as I showed last week, I have several rings. I have like 20, 25 rings that I will just accessorize with what I'm wearing. I'll change it up any given time. And I'm good with that, but it's not had any bearing on the state or quality of my marriage. Did it suck when I lost it? Yeah, and I regretted losing it. But my wife, she took it in stride, and she understood that it's about the marriage. It's not about the signs or the tokens of it. It's about us at the end of the day. And certainly to the wife school's point, yeah, it is about the people. And that's something, though, that if it's going to be about the people, you guys really got to be in sync. And this is really gets into your financial yoking. Where are you guys financially? If you're dating somebody, and these are signs that a lot of people will not pick up on early enough. A lot of times you see these signs that are out there. You know that she's a spender, or she likes to spend money, or he likes to spend money, or where they spend their money, right? You see these things. You see if they're like an impulse buyer, like they just automatically just show up with an expensive item, either for you or for themselves. I just felt like buying it. It may look cool in the moment, but can a marriage run on that when you have that kind of reckless or impulse buying, or someone who makes decisions impulsively? Hey, let's talk about this. Let's plan. Let's strategize. Let's save. Let's be disciplined about certain things. You got to know that up front. Doesn't matter. Yes, she's beautiful. And yes, when you see her on that wedding day, she's in that beautiful dress, and everyone's all googly eyed, and everything is wonderful. And like I said, the wedding I went to, it was beautiful. It was outside. It was a nice day. It was picture perfect. But what's going to make the relationship last? Are you guys in line on your financial goals? And so as long as those things are then yeah. Whether you spend $1,000 on a wedding, or as E-Man said, $500 on a ring, or $5,000 on a ring, or $50,000 on a ring. Are your oars whirling in the right direction? And again, just from my personal experience, if she going to be with you when you had nothing, more times than not, she's going to be with you when things do turn for you and you have something. But when you got something on the from the beginning, you have no idea what their motives are. And so I would rather have met somebody when I had, and again, a lot of those couples, they come from poor or low middle class backgrounds, but they built up their professional careers, and whatnot, through all the years. They had their children, they retired, and they're just enjoying life. But again, the fact that it didn't start off at a high point, it created like an interdependence with one another, and they built together. I like relationships that I know King talk about on your show. I like struggle love. I'm a big fan of struggle love. Don't give me the Cosbys. Again, no diss to the Cosbys and the Cosby Show. Give me Rock. Give me Eleanor and Rock just as much as Claire and Cliff. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, again, we negate those type of relationships also. You may not have everything, or every month is a struggle. You guys got to be in lockstep with one another. So give me that. That's why Rock was one of my favorite shows from the 90s, because it showed a very positive couple, even though they didn't have as much as everybody else had, but still they had each other, and they were definitely ride or die 100%. So yeah, so I love struggle love. I love people who again, finance isn't the first thing that you're looking for in a relationship. Doesn't mean that finance isn't important. But to me, what's even more important is, again, your financial priorities. And this also comes in your dating. What is this person's views? Like the couple that I talked about last week where the woman lost 2 rings. I would be interested to know, what did they talk about in terms of financial priorities? And were they open to that? And that's one of the reasons I'm a big proponent of, like you talk about that. I may suggest that after 6 months, you should know if you want to marry the person or not. Well, sometimes I ask the question, what do you guys have been talking about for 6 months? Let's say you're talking to this person almost every day for 6 months. Out of all those conversations, what have you been talking about? The news? Or comic books, or whatever it is, or rom-coms, or movie. I mean, if you're not having these intentional conversations early on to get a sense of where this person is, then you're messing up on that aspect too. Because now you wait too long. Now you're emotionally invested. And even though you don't have the resources to do certain things, you will still spend, because it's like, well, I don't want to lose her, or I don't want to lose him, or whatever. You start thinking in these ways that is just not healthy for either one of you. So it doesn't matter for Valentine's Day, overspending on Valentine's Day, overspending for an engagement ring that you know you can't afford, or her having this expectation of a certain ring size, of a certain ring cut, of a certain ring dimension, all those kind of things. It's like, is that really going to be what you put your stake into, versus a good quality character guy who's not going to cheat on you, who's going to respect you, who's going to love you, who's going to give his life for you, who's going to provide to a certain level for you, but you're concerned about the ring, or you're concerned about the wedding and how many people and the size of your bridal party. The crazy thing about it, my wife and I, we both could, like I said, this was her mother's creation, because the reality is my wife really didn't have that many friends to begin with. Like, the mom wanted the wedding size, the wedding party to be of a certain size. So she was putting people into the as bridesmaids, and therefore I had to get groomsmen. Now, again, I was better because I had a larger friend circle than what my wife did. Her closest friends were, she's got 3 other sisters. So her friend circle was basically her sisters. She didn't really have a lot of people who she rocked with at the time. I had a much bigger friendship circle. So again, it was easy for me to field groomsmen. But her mom was like, look, we need to find, so look, here's your cousin that my wife barely even talks to. In fact, hasn't even talked to since the wedding. Like I ask, like, sometimes, hey, have you? Yeah, I mean, it's like you had people in the wedding you didn't even talk to, like, even after the wedding, like, at least thank you for being part of the wedding. Whatever. They were just there to fill a body. Because I think the mom wanted 6. I think 6 total, in terms of the bridesmaids and the maid of honor and all that. She wanted like an even, like a 12. It looks nicer in the photos. But we would have been very happy. 2 or 3 people, I know exactly who I'm getting, boom. Or if she just wanted to do it with her sisters, so it would have been her older sister would have been the maid of honor. Her 2 other sisters would have been the bridesmaids. I would have got my guys, and we would have been good. But literally, the mom is calling people off the street to be like, look, we need a bridesmaid. So it's like rent a bridesmaid to make the wedding photos look better. And again, love the mom, but again, she had this idea. She wanted her daughters. She always wanted her daughters to be married, and certainly for that day and whatnot, she just wanted this special and great event. She wanted the limo. She wanted the Excalibur car. We rode in the back of an Excalibur. She just wanted this visual. Now, again, for us, though, I think we knew more about just the sort of people we were. We didn't need it. And again, it didn't cause any financial strain on us. It may have caused financial strain on the mom, but for us, it was just, get the day. And like I said, by the end of the day, we were done. It was just over. But like I said, it became special again, though, when we got the video. Again, I say that again. When we got the finished video production from the videographer, that's what kind of made it special again. Because then it's kind of like, but it's like anything else. It's like, imagine if you're an actor like on a movie set, right? Like, let's say if you're on the Avengers film, right? You're working with a lot of blue screen, a lot of green screen. You don't even know what's happening half the time. They just say action cut. You do something and something's supposed to happen, and you react to certain things or whatever. It's just a grind. Right? But then when you see the finished product, and you're like, oh, that was beautiful. That was, what went into that. So, yeah, it was this sort of fairy tale type of situation. And so, obviously, I wouldn't go back and change it. But, again, I would have been very happy. Couple $1,000 maybe. I get a suit. She gets a dress. We do a small thing at the church. My church now, I think for a wedding, I don't even think they spend more than like, $200-$300. If I do video, at my church. I think it's like $50, $75 that they charge, and for the thing. I mean, and if you're a member of the church, it's even reduced even more so that we are barely paying nothing to get married at the church. And we have a reception hall in the back. I mean, you can have your reception there, and they can, certainly there's reduced costs you can do. But everybody wants to go to the big manor. In this area, we got this manor. I don't even think about how much that manor would be today. I know it was a pretty swanky place back in '97 when we were there. I don't even think about how much it cost today. The last time I was there, my middle daughter's sweet 16 was there. Her not a sweet 16, it was her prom, her senior prom was there. And I don't even know how much it costs now to rent the place. I guess I can look it up, but it's not a cheap place to rent. But my church has a nice hall in the back. You can decorate it and do something, whatever, have it there. But people, again, you have these ideas. People want to get married in a castle. You know what I mean? It's like literally, you get these ideas that people want, and you can see the images, and so yeah. So that's where again a lot of your where a lot of your money is spent, no doubt.
They blow money. That's what I don't get. They just blow the money. It's like throwing in a fire pit. You spend all this money to the wedding and all this stuff. It is not for you guys. It's for everybody else. Listen, if I want to throw a party, I do it at my house. I don't need to do it at a very expensive place. If you want to do expensive place, go somewhere else, not here. That's my opinion of that. And I don't understand why people blow all that money like that. I just 40, 50, even 60 grand. I see people blow weddings. Mm-hmm. Like I said last week, one of my chefs went to get married in DR. He paid for everybody's hotel, the wedding, the food, everything. Mm-hmm. I don't have that kind of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, King. That's essentially what it was. Like I said, my wife, she spent $1,000 on her dress, and then her mom wanted additional alterations to it that might have doubled the price. Again, I don't know what the exact amount was. and I just paid for my tux, and my groomsmen, they paid their piece. Like, guys, like, whatever the cost of the tuxedos were, they kind of chipped in. They were my boys. They chipped in, and that was it. So everything else, was essentially that mom kind of paid for for everything else, and nobody knows. My wife, she asked her sisters. Nobody knows. But her mom was, again, a different type of individual. So I don't know where she got the money from or whatever to pull these things off. But this is just something that she wanted for her daughter. And daughter was like, okay. But she would not have had it if I'd said, if we just eloped, right? She never would have spoke to us again. Like, that would have caused so much. That would have caused so much friction. I was already in with the family. Like, I had a real good relationship with the mom, with the dad, with the family. I was very well received, and even to this day, I have a very good relationship with them. But had we eloped or something like that, she never would have spoke to me again. That would have been definitely on the outs when it came to that. As far as church events, again, it depends. If you're a member, it's very cheap. It's it's not that expensive at all.
Again, would it be a bad thing?
What's that?
If they never talk to you ever again, would that really be a bad thing?
It would be, because I liked them. I mean, she was certainly very instrumental with helping us with our daughters, babysitting and things of that nature. I mean, certainly I believe in having good family ties. It just, again, if you're talking about the long game, and this is something too that, a lot of people have to consider. When you get married, you are marrying the family too, whether you like it or not. And so if you guys aren't good, now I know some who go against the grain, and you hear these stories, about, going against the grain of the family and marrying someone of a different faith or a race or religion or something like that. And, you hear those stories, but more times than not, again, for the average person, you are married. The family, again, marriages, especially in earlier times, it was all about families. Again, it was about two families, two tribes, two nations sometimes getting together. So having a good relationship between the families was important. And even to this day, when we have big cookouts and get-togethers, when we had the party for my daughters over the summer, both sides of the family were there. And both sides, for the most part, get along. My wife, she's very good. She'll call my sisters at any time and be on the phone for long conversations with them. I mean, they have a good relationship. So I'm good with her family. Her oldest sister and me, we'll go back and forth talking about all kinds of different issues and whatnot. But again, good relationship. My wife, good relationship. And so it just makes things better when you have social events and getting families together, raising the children together. So again, these are other things. So again, what is a person's financial habits? What are their priorities? Is very important to find out during the courtship. The family structure, you want to get into that too. Like, I remember early on, we started dating in May. By the summer, I was already at our family's house. Going to family events. Because again, I want to see this dynamic. These are the people I'm going to be dealing with for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know if you got a crazy uncle or a crazy brother or crazy sister or something. I want to know that now before I get so into you and be like, well, yeah, I love her and everything, but I don't know if I can deal with that family though.
Let me ask you this question, Paul, and I'm gonna get a little too personal with you.
No, please.
Is it any member in the family like you said, oh man, I can't, man, I think I'm going over peace for the day. I don't
no.
Get under your skin.
No,
not even one.
There's people I disagree with. I mean, we have different, political beliefs, religious beliefs. There's certainly discussions. We kind of go back and forth on. But as far as someone I dislike, no. I just accept. That's who they are. People. Kind of who they are. But no one I dislike at all. And probably on my side, they kind of say the same, thing. I mean, it's been a relatively good relationship. So no, we don't have those kind of. It was a very, in fact, when we were dead, we found out like my oldest brother and her brother, they were on the same basketball team together in college.
Oh wow!
Didn't know. My favorite aunt at the time when she was living, she worked with her dad at GM. Didn't know. And so that was another thing. We were finding all these family connections that again just kind of confirmed that, hey, this is good. And they were good. Like I said, my aunt, she was really good friends with her father. And like I said, my brother and her brother, they were teammates. So again,
background with her, knowing about it.
Yeah, but that was part of the confirmation. Like, yeah, this is probably a good thing. Yeah, we this is leading somewhere. Again, commonality and things of that nature. Again, didn't have any kind of role in how we met. But again, once things got established and once we started aligning. And that was part of that was part of the confirmation for us. So yeah, you have to all those things I think are important. I would say the only time my family got sideways with Dottie, my middle sister. Now she's a detective, so she was asking her my wife's age, and my wife didn't want to give it to her, and then her detective hat kind of went on. And she kind of pulls me on the side and said, look, I can run the file on this lady. I can get, because again, she was just being protective of me and whatnot, but she was just someone who did, but she didn't want to even tell me her age at a certain time, which I thought was kind of, kind of silly, but, she just had certain things. Again, her mom was kind of like, don't give people certain information and whatnot. And, her mom is a little on the paranoid side a little bit. But again, we got through that, and now it's like again, love's
like a bump in a road. There wasn't even a thing you guys went through.
Yeah, it was just like a early something. Again, my sister being the background she comes from, being in law enforcement, and anybody who was going to be dating her brother, she was like, yeah, I mean, she just wants to make sure everything is everything is good. So I had people, kind of looking into that, and so. Shout out to BMU again. Appreciate what you did for us. Appreciate the thumbnail tonight. Again, very funny. In Louisiana, go to a local swamp and make it happen. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, get married wherever. Go to one of those grave sites in New Orleans. One of those graveyards. Get married there. I don't care. However you guys want to do it. Comedian Earthquake said he spent $15 million. I don't believe that at all. Shout out! We saw Earthquake last month. He was here in New Jersey at a comedy club out here. We saw him. He saw him last month, and so it's a very fun. But I doubt if he spent that kind of money on a wedding. I don't think he's ever made 15 mil in his life. Certainly, church again. Members, I mean, again, it's a minimal cost. But again, no one's going to break the bank as far as what's cost from it. Shout out to Anton again. Said my wife and I come from different backgrounds. She's the oldest of 10, and I'm the middle of 3. When her mother died, I helped her with the raising of her young siblings. Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, those are things that certainly if she wanted to know if you were a good guy or not, certainly those kind of things certainly come into play. But again, you're marrying a family, and so both of us went into it like if something happened. Mm-hmm. And again, this will be advice for you. Whoever you marry, as long as your mom is living, they got to know that, look, she's kind of part of the deal.
Oh, I tell them that from the start.
She's part of the package,
Oh, I tell them
and it would be the same for her mom. And in her situation, that you are part of the deal. You know what I mean? So again, I think that a lot of people, it's just about the couple, just about the individuals. What's that?
I tell them, you got to deal with 2 people in my life. Get a package deal. This is not negotiable. You don't like it, kick rocks. Let's go. I'll drive you back to your house and we'll call it a day. Mm-hmm. You usually respond, what is the deal? Is I have a mother that I take care of, and she's not going anywhere. As long as I can take care of her, I will. And B, I have a dog. You gotta get his approval too.
Yeah.
Very simple. Because have people
Yeah.
have told me like, oh well, can you like I don't like dogs. Can we get rid of the dog? I'm
Bye.
like,
Bye, Felicia. Yeah.
oh, you're talking to me? Oh
Yeah.
no, sweetheart. You're talking to my rear door right now because you get the fuck out of my car and
Yeah.
you walk to your car. Shoot. Come on, you get it. Oh, go, you got your seatbelt. Go, you learn how to. And they're like, you're really going to leave this for that thing? I'm like, no, that thing is actually much cuter than you because God doesn't like ugly. I want to because end of the day, a dog has a soul too. He wants to be loved, and dogs, like we talked before in this show, give you unconditional love as many times as you need. People won't.
Yeah.
So see ya.
Yeah.
I will pick a dog over a woman any day.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, some certain people, if you're not a dog person, then again, you may not understand what he just said.
Too bad.
Now again, had I had my dog, now again, we got our dog several years into our marriage, almost 20 years into our marriage when we got our dog. So and it took a while for my wife to warm up to the idea to get a dog. Now that's her baby. But that being said, if I had him before we dated, if she wasn't willing to accept the fact that I am a dog owner, and again, we're the dog owners. Again, dog's not going to be in a cage. He's on the couch. He's on the bed. He's just a part of it.
The only time you should be creating a dog when you're raising him as a pup, because puppies, if you don't keep your eyes on them, they will destroy anything. They're going to rip wires, shoes. For their safety, you created
right. But the point is, it's like, again, he's a house dog. Like, he's not a dog that's outside. Like, I remember growing up, like, a lot of people had their dogs outside. They had a dog house, or they were in the chain or something like that. They stayed outside until you went and played with them or something, or if the weather was inclement, you brought them inside the house. I'm saying our dog is a house dog. So, again, if I had my place, if I was, at the time when I met my wife, my dog's going to have reign in within the house and things of that nature. Again, if you couldn't handle that, then yeah, I probably would have said you're probably not the right one then. You know what I mean? But but she accepts that, and again, he's part of the fabric of the household and everything else. So again, we're good there. And if we ever got a dog in the future after he passes, then again, she's already acclimated to that, so it wouldn't be a big deal. But again, a lot of this, again, is about, again, knowing what your values are and being able to communicate them early in a relationship. And again, and just watching and monitoring to see how a person moves in response to the parameters that you set. You have your values, and he or she should have theirs. And you shouldn't be wasting each other's time. Knowing that there's certain things, or if you have this idea, it's like, oh, I can get him to change that. Or I can get her to change that. Again, go into a situation understanding that this is the person that you're dealing with. And you trying to change them into someone else or get them thinking in a certain way is not a healthy way to have a relationship form. And so, again, your financial values, your family values, or your family commitments, you have pets, all those things are important. And like I said, for me, I wanted to get into those things right away. Oh, you have a dog? Oh, I'd love to meet your dog. Oh, he wants to come? He wants to jump on my lap? Hey, come here. I love getting down with the dog. Rubbing the belly and all that. I got one of the friends of mine, they got a Rottweiler, sweetest Rottweiler. Jumps all over you when you get there. Gets all over your face, jumps on your lap, wants to be on top of you, licking you. But again, I got no problem with that. And dogs did some, and a lot of times they're the indicator of whether or not you're a good person or not. So it's like your dog's gonna love me.
Through his nipping phase, he's nipping everything he can see because he's teething right now. So I tell people, like, he's gonna nip you, not if he's going to nip you. Oh no, dog, I don't like. I'm like, look at him. I'm like, I told you he's gonna nip you. No, I'm not joking. Because he's going through that phase right now. You know what I'm saying? You didn't go through because you got your dog. What 10 months? Was it right? when you get Doctor Strange?
What's that?
You got Doctor Strange when he was 10 months, you said?
10 months, yeah.
That's right. He was way past the nipping phase.
Mhm.
You know, he's really into nipping phase right now because he's teething right now.
Right.
He's gonna nip everything he can find: shoes, hands, hair, phones, controllers, whatever. Because he have to keep his mouth busy right now because he's teething.
Yeah.
So, and I tell people like, "Oh, look at cute dog! Like you can pet him. Yeah, go ahead, pet him." I'm telling you, he's a nipper. I'm like, but he's not biting hard. He's just because he's teething. He just wants, like some of these kids, they just want to put something in their mouth at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Anton again. It says, my mother-in-law would tease me and call me a Boy Scout. When she found out that we were getting married, she would refer to me as her eldest son until the day she died. Yeah. It's just good when you can have good relationship with the family, with the in-laws, and whatnot. It just makes the whole situation better. Now, how long, Anton, did you guys date before you got married? I'd be curious about that. As far as time, like I said, for me, from start to finish was 10 months. From the first date I had with my wife to the time we got married was 10 months. Again, I could have got married sooner, but her mom, once it went in that she needs this wedding to happen in a certain way or whatever, it was like all, because that's what she wanted for all her daughters. So that's like her that's what she preached to them her whole lives. She had get married. Now only 2 daughters are married. 2 are still, certainly haven't found that yet. But that was just always her dream for her daughters to be wives. And so again, when that was happening, or when I guess I came into the picture and be like, oh, he's a real one, then yeah, so she was gonna make sure this happened. And my sister-in-law, her husband, the next year will be 40 years for them. So, and they've had their ups and downs and whatnot, but they're together now, they're strong again and whatnot. Them I could have definitely saw renewing their vows. I know they went through a tough time, but they
say to you, Paul, if you were dating in 2026, 2025, 2027, whatever, you may take a little longer to marry your wife than 10 months.
No,
I disagree with you.
You asked me.
I'm disagreeing with you because you're saying that because what you did, but your mindset will be different right now.
No, the mindset would even be more enforced. I would do probably more. I mean, basically what I'm doing now, again, this is prior to the dating sites, right?
Well, I'm saying, how old were you when you married your wife?
I was 26.
You're 26 in 2026 on a dating site. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that 45-year-old, the 80-year-old, the 90-year-old, whatever, how old are you? I keep losing track of your age. You keep growing a minute, I'm seeing you. Every time I turn around, you're 80 years older than the last time minute I said.
I look pretty good for an 80-year-old. So,
but my point I was trying to get to, if your mindset would be different at 26 in today's date.
I'm saying no, because what's happened over the years is I've gotten more convicted about what I did and how I think it would work today. I think the sites basically model what I did. In that, again, all you can do is you have a profile. I made my own profile about who I was and what I wanted. And I shared that with as many people who would listen to me. And I waited for the ones who were like, yeah, I can get with this. My wife, when she read my document, she says, I can get with this. And then we started and we proceeded from there. But if you couldn't get with it or whatever, then go. It's like the Pop the Balloon show now. I walk out at 26 and you're going to have women just by seeing me, they're going to pop their balloons. And then they're going to hear what I got to say. They're going to ask me about marriage and what I think about marriage and marital roles and things like that. A few more pops here and there. I only need one balloon to stay unpopped. And if I'm attracted to her, then that's all I needed. So no, I don't think much would have changed. If anything, I've gotten more convicted about what I did. And so no, I don't think it would be different in 2026. I would say, and another thing is, again, I was willing to go out on a lot of dates. The thing that gets me now is like everyone's like, guys are so skittish about going out. Again, I was when we were on with Coach a couple weeks ago. You would go back in the day, you go on 2 or 3 dates a week with different ladies, with different, again, it was just until one decided to hang around.
My early years in my 20s, in 1 week, I went on 6 dates. That was fine back then.
Yeah. But now it's like guys
now-
go on 1 or 2 dates. It's like, oh, well, there's no good women out there. I'm like,
Oh no, I give her a fair chance, bro. I really give her a fair chance. I don't like say, okay, we went on 1 date. You're not a good woman. I'm not saying that because I don't know you that well after first date.
Mhm.
I need at least good 5, 6 dates to say, hey, you're a good woman, you're a bad woman, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
But my point is trying to get to, it's hard to find that one that fits my what's the word I'm looking for? Criteria. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Because what?
But it's always, if the more you know what you want, the harder it's going to be. But I don't even consider it hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying your pool is just going to be very small. In a lot of ways, it's going to be easier. Like I said, you put yourself out there, 1,000 women, 10 remain. That's not a high percentage. But at least you know what you're dealing with the 10, or the 10 know who they're dealing with. So, and again, that's what I wanted. This wasn't about volume. It's not like sales. Like sales, it requires, like, yeah, you make a lot of cold calls or whatever, but you need a lot of hits. With me, I didn't need a lot of hits. I needed one hit out of hundreds, dozens, hundreds, or thousands. I don't even remember how many dates I went on. Doesn't really matter anymore. But are you willing to go through the process? And I'll be like, yeah, I think it'd be easier. Like I started out with the singles that, now again, if you're Gen X, you remember the personal ads in the newspaper. You remember the call-in radio shows where they had a mailbox. Anton, you remember 98.7 Kiss FM in New York? They had a soul singles connection where you called in, they gave you a personal mailbox, and you put in a little 1-minute message about yourself. Hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'm looking for this and that, and I'm like my hobbies and whatnot, and things like that. Hey, if you're interested here, drop a call. And I had to meet people cold. You didn't even see what they look like. And so now you got these websites where people, I think it almost goes too extreme. And the reason why is you put your best photos up there, right? Some people get professional photographers. And now it's even worse because now people using AI to make themselves look so good. Take out all the rings. See all these I got all these lines on my forehead now because of age. Remove the lines from my forehead. I don't have hair. Put hair on my head. I don't have eyebrows. My eyebrows are thinned out. That's a family thing with me. Put eyebrows in. You making this fictional character, this avatar essentially that you're making, but it's not you. So that I would be concerned about. Like, okay, this person is putting his pictures up here, everything looks cool. But again, I went on blind meetups and hookups.
You need to understand, Paul, and like I just looked at the numbers actually. For an average dating site, it doesn't matter which one it is 75% of people are on there are men. There's only 25% of women on there.
Right.
So the women have more choices versus us.
Sure.
So like what I believe that comes down to every one woman, there are 10 men for something like that. So
yeah.
Again, Paul, I'm telling you, if you were into this world, you were like, yeah, you were right. I'll be honest with you.
Because again, all it would be is just another tool. I would use, I'm not saying I would just do full days. I'll probably do a lot of what I did now. Like I said, I
right out to this day.
Yeah.
They're probably looking at it like you're crazy.
Yeah. And I would say next. But it doesn't matter. The important thing is my wife didn't think I was crazy. I told you, I had an aunt who had literally sat down with me and said, like, Paul, I'm very concerned about you at this point. We need to talk. She sat me down and she was like, I said, fine, let's go over it. And every point of concern that she had, we went over point by point. And also the great thing about the document is that it was an automatic conversation starter. that I can go into a date. If you read my document up front, then any subject in the document I was willing to talk about at length. Obviously, I'm not going to write a 400-page book about it. But if we're going to talk, I mean, yeah, you can ask the question and we can talk about it. So yeah, like I said, it was it was probably the boldest, I would say it was the boldest, bravest time in my life. Because I wanted something so badly. And just to put it on the table again for everybody who knows, the motivation was sex. I was celibate and I was in Pond Far and I needed a wife. And so that was the motivation. I had no attachments. I had no kids. I had nothing was going on. So I was like, look, the worst thing that someone could say is no, or you're crazy or whatever. And I say, next one. But I was open to everything. I was open to blind dates. If you had a friend, or if you had a friend, if you had a sister, if you had a relative, if I knew you and you had a friend who was like, yeah, I think, you guys may get along, I was willing to go on blind dates.
The thing with blind dates now is you're worried. They're gonna it doesn't work out. They're gonna be put in a weird position.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't do the blind dates anymore. The old school dating, what you're talking about, is literally old school dating now. Like
you say it's old school, and I think that's the problem. I think people are just they're so risk averse.
I take risks,
and that's why people are weaker in the dating field, weaker in personal interactions, weaker in their communication. Because the whole purpose of the date or hookup was like, do I like you and do you like me? If it is, let's take it further. That was it. It was almost like an interview. And what we talked about even on your show, on the Next Gen Training show Thursday nights on the Sparta HQ Network, what did we talk about? The interview process. And why it's the same thing.
No, I agree with you 100%. It is the same concept, same everything. Like that's why I spent a lot of time when I'm first getting into a relationship, before a date or after the first date, is talking to her about almost everything I can think of. Questions. What about this scenario? Or what about this and that? Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like people say, oh, you have too many questions. Like, how else am I going to get to know you if I don't ask questions?
Yeah. And again,
I disagree with that part. And I'm agreeing with you with saying a lot of this. But some of the mentality today, it wouldn't work. Like you had the I call it the Paul's Bible you were giving out, all right?
Mm-hmm.
That more than a couple sentences. Next, they don't want to read a whole paragraph. It's way too long.
Yeah,
and you can't even put too much in there. They tell you only can put this much in it.
Yeah,
like,
and I would say the same thing. Next, again, it's different when you're talking about you're looking for one. That changes everything.
No, that's what I'm saying. To me, I'm saying some dating sites you cannot put a lot.
No, I wouldn't. I would put in the formula. I would put in again what it would be a tool in the. It would be a tool in the an arrow in the holster. That's all it would be. It's just another tool in the holster. Whatever the parameters of the website, they're gonna ask you for your dating age, your hobbies, your interests. Throw up a couple pictures up there. Yeah, boom, and that's it. But that's one. The other one would be again friends and family, personal interaction. King, if you had a friend of yours who was single too and looking for marriage or whatever, King come up to me and be like, "I got a friend of mine. I want you to meet her, or would you be willing to meet my friend or whatever?" I'd be like, "Yeah, give me a number, or you want to hook it up in a public setting or whatever, so it's not too awkward or whatever. Yeah, hook it up."
No, I had good example.
Like I said, I was open to a lot of different avenues, but the mindset was the same. I'm looking for one person, and I'm going to be as transparent as I can about who I am and what I want. And if you're not what I want, then thank you very much. Have a nice day and leave. That was it. I mean, like I said, it didn't matter if it was 1 or 10 or 100. The mindset was the same.
Now, I'll give you a good example. I'm not going to put the person's name out, but somebody from my church said to me, "Hey, dude, we're talking about religion, all that stuff. Like, yeah, my wife has this friend." I'm like, And I think you guys have in common, oh, we're not getting involved. What do you mean? You don't have to get involved. You just introduce me. That's all I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Not even that. Because if that goes sour, my wife is gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be pissed. Then I'm gonna take it at home, and shit might hit the fan, and her relationship with her friend might go bad. Not going there.
Then that connection with that friend or whatever is not going to work. Move on to the next one. Move on to the next friend.
I'm telling you, a lot of that, what I'm saying, is pretty accurate now these days.
Right.
I know you've been out of the game for 30 years, but I'm saying if your mindset was in today's, I think you'll think differently.
No, I Paul, was it resource draining doing it that way? No. And that's the problem. I mean, again, what I said on the last show, no risk it, no biscuit. Everything is about risk. Relationships is risks. You spend your money on other things, anyway. And again, these days weren't crazy expensive. How much was going to spend? And again, I wasn't going to now I'm not one of these guys. I'm not taking you to Ruth Chris Steakhouse on the first date. We're not doing that either. And if that was your expectation, then next with that one too. We're meeting for coffee. We're meeting at the diner. We're meeting at IHOP. We're meeting at BK or McDonald's. We're meeting wherever we got to meet. And if that's too sedity, if that's too low class and standard for you for a first interaction or meeting, then next. I'll meet you at the Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, whatever it is. Or I'll meet you at someone's house or at the party or whatever it is. So no, I mean, resource draining. I mean, again, where are these guys spending their money? I don't even go to Cheesecake Factory, not on a first date. So again, you have to be resolute in your mind in terms of how you want to go with that. And for Lady Navoa asking, what does it mean? No risk it. Again, if you don't get the risk, you don't get the biscuit. You don't get the cookie. You don't get the. So again, you have to take risks to get that cookie. It's like the Scooby-Doo with the Scooby snacks. You got to be willing to, again, do some things in order to get the Scooby snacks. So again, if you're not willing to do some things or try some things or be willing to fail, you're not going to get the cookie at the end of the day. I screw now. I shake my head. I didn't say I don't like ice cream. When did I say I don't like ice cream? I love ice cream. Ice cream shop, Baskin Robbins. All right, we can do that too. That's fine. Wherever. Now, Anton's asking a question. Explain to me how young people don't have a problem with random hookups but refuse to go on a blind date. I can't answer that either. But the question I'm always asking, and again, we got to wind down the show. We're almost at time here. We got to wind the show. But again, how's that working for you? People talk about there's no good relationships, no good people, whatever. How's that working, that kind of mindset? Yeah, you'll hook up with a random, but you don't want to go on a blind date. And we're not even talking about, again, some intimate, again, just can you meet up just to talk and interact in a comfortable setting? Just kind of get to get the 411 on somebody. People aren't willing to do that, but they're willing to hook up and do all kinds of things.
No, I agree with exactly what you're saying with that. With that part, I totally agree. It's disgusting. People don't want to communicate, but they just want to get hit and quit it really fast.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's saying not me, the 304s. Yeah, they don't want to go out for ice cream, then fine. Maybe I'm not the one for you then. I would love to go and get some ice cream especially you get some of the local ice creameries out here. Oh, we got some good ones. The local ice creamery places and whatnot, yeah. And we just be in the parking lot talking outside the car and just sitting on the hood of the car or whatever and just chatting. What's wrong with that?
I got in the past. I have gone just go to a local bar and have a drink.
Yeah.
One drink.
So how many more? I mean, and again, I get you're drinking, I'm not. So again, I can't relate to that. But yeah, I get it. I just didn't want the drinking in because again, people change, or you may not be.
Drinking's not going to do anything. To be honest with you, Paul. Like if you go into like 3 or 4, okay, I don't understand what you're saying. One cocktail is not going to do anything to you.
Well, again, when you get to the 3rd and 4th cocktail, then is that person going to show you? Is that person going to show you an aspect of themselves that you're either going to like or not like?
Yeah, I know when I'm saying one. I mean one.
I get that, but I'm just saying. But you're there talking, and it's going or whatever, and the bartender comes up and say, "Hey, you want another one?" And she may be like, yeah, I'll take another one. And you're talking again and whatnot. And then the bartender comes again. Hey, do you want another one? And she's like, yeah, I'll take another one. What are you thinking in your mind then? Is she kind of like, is she drinking out of because she's nervous? Is she digging me? Or does her personality start changing at the time when you're talking to her? Does she get more bolder? Does she start saying stuff to you that's...
I've been into at a bar, we both milking our drinks because we both are driving until we don't want to,
okay. But if you saw her and she did this, would that turn you off?
Pounding her drinks down?
Yeah, she's just... What would you do then?
Pounding her drinks down, like you said.
Yeah. What would you do?
I was just like, maybe this is not going to work out then.
Yeah, that could be an issue. But I know we've gotten more into the dating aspect or whatnot of this thing. But just getting back, just kind of we'll get into our final thoughts when we get out because I got a plane to catch. I got to leave here at 4:25 in the morning. I got a plane to catch. I got to go to Georgia for work. So I'll be flying out of here in a few hours. But this just as far as final thoughts for the show. So yeah. So again, cost of a wedding. Like I've always said, generally the longest weddings that I know of personally were the cheapest. They weren't in big catering halls. You didn't have the biggest diamond. You weren't releasing a dozen roses. I've been to weddings in Martha's Vineyard, and they're releasing doves in the air and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's storybook. It's beautiful and everything. But again, does that ensure marital success? No, that's up to you guys. And again, spending your money on those things to have a day versus thinking about a lifetime. I think there's greater uses for your money. But like I said earlier, I'm not pocket watching those. So again, you spend on what you want to, but don't think that, if I spend more on this, that it's going to mean my success. It may not be the case, certainly in the long run. So again, use the information. Again, go back and rewatch this show. And watch the show that we did again last week on engagement rings and wedding rings. I think you'll find that informative, and also the show we did on Valentine's Day and whatnot. So again, romance, yes. I mean, certainly I'm all about romance. But does it have to cost so much? I don't think so. But that's my final thought. So, Pete, the last word, and we can close out the show.
Keep it small, keep it sweet, and keep moving.
There you go. Sounds...
bullshit.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. But again, we want to thank you guys for being with us tonight on the Sparta HQ Network and on the Black Men Unfiltered Network. Again, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button certainly before you leave here tonight. And tune in next week. I think next week we're going to have a call-in show. I believe so. Next week is a call-in show. So anything that we've talked about. Certainly over the last several shows, we want to come in and join the conversation. I know Anton, he may have some comments. Appreciate the thoughts, King, on the travel. And, so definitely looking forward to it. But I should be back by Thursday, and we'll be able to roll the shows out just like we usually do. We'll be next week, and maybe I have some interesting stories from my travels that I can certainly share on the show. But certainly, we look forward to you guys being a part of it. So again, I want to thank you guys.
Just do me a favor when we go down there this time. Don't eat too much salt again.
No, if I can avoid, I can't go to the local spots anymore. Those local spots, I don't know what it is with the salt, and the overly sweetened drinks down there. But that's a southern thing. And I could have been in the hospital down there. It was so bad. I'm only going. I'm going with the established franchises in the in the area. Longhorn Steakhouse is probably going to be my main spot down there, and I'm just going to stay with the with the franchise model. I'm not going to the local spots because over salting and over sugary foods but that's a totally different thing that we can talk about. But certainly for myself, Mr. Bennett, and for him,
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panayotis. This is the Gray Area on the Black Men Unfiltered Network and Sparta HQ Network. You guys enjoy your week. Take care. God bless. And we will see you next time. Hard stop. Good night.